All right, welcome. Day 47 of This Is Not Advice with Min on location. We are answering your questions about work, and it's not advice because advice is the person telling you how you should live their life, not yours. And so we're just telling you what we think. And so today, because the question is kind of more relevant the other way around, I'll ask, which is, my boss is going away on vacation. What should I do while they're gone, Min? I feel like we just lived this sort of.
That's true. Welcome back, Roy. And so I guess maybe to start, I'd say consider what your relationship is with your boss, because that could mean different things. The question's pretty broad, but is it your direct manager? Is it somebody that might be like a skip level manager? And so I think depending on what the relationship is, it changes how you want to handle it. And then I think one thing that I want to highlight from what you were saying a little bit yesterday is there's like a pre and a during and like a post of how you want to handle like managing up and across, let's say. So I think each one requires a slightly different understanding of like how can you anticipate what your boss needs? Is that fair to say, Roy?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the pre, what I've always done and believed others should do is suggest something. So for example, as you know, on our team, we've got that document. I talked about it. We talked about it before, which is the while you're away document. You could say to the person you work for, hey, would it help you if the day you came back, I had something ready that said, here's what happened while you were away? Or you could say, would it help if I cleared your calendar or took away some responsibility? So making a proposal before, I think, is the right way to think about it. And you could just guess at it and say it's okay. What I would avoid doing, and this is a general thing, is, you've heard that thing of like, bring me solutions, not problems. I think that's actually a terrible way to think about the world, because sometimes you have a problem for which you don't know the solution. And so I think a better way to do it is give somebody a guess at your answer as opposed to dropping the question in their lap. And so saying, here's what I think would be helpful, what do you think, is very different from saying, what would you like when you return from vacation? And then they got to think, I don't know what I want. And then during, my main question to myself is, when like people I've worked for have gone away, is, does that actually change my pace of day-to-day work? And there have been cases where I had what I call a distant boss relationship, where the person's far enough away that like they don't bother you every day, you do your stuff, whatever, and then it doesn't really affect things unless you need something from them. I've had near boss relationships where the person is like in your business constantly, and usually that's a negative thing, not a positive, but it can be positive. And then the effect of them being away might be that I have more time. And that more time I can choose to invest in like myself and just taking it easy for a week, in something that is important but not as urgent that I could get done. I mean, but I think understanding and anticipating how things will change, I think, is a big deal.
Totally. And I think during that sense of like investing in maybe like what we call deep work sometimes, where it is maybe there was something proactive that you wanted to spend time on, where you now have a little bit more flexibility to do, I think it's a great opportunity to do that. And it also means that it's something that you can share when your boss does come back.
Totally.
The one other thing I wanted to say is like recognizing that when your boss is away, there are other people on the team who may have a closer or different relationship. And how can you help them while they're away also, I think, plays a big role in making sure that the return of your boss is also smoother, because there's inevitably going to be a lot of catch up that the other person has to do.
Yeah, I mean, one way to generalize it is put yourself in your boss's shoes. When they get back, they don't want whatever random things happen to be in the queue dropped on them. They're also getting back to things. And so you being selective, and maybe it means waiting till Wednesday before you raise that thing that doesn't need to be raised on Monday, that kind of thing. I'd also say something you brought up in terms of others on the team is you can have situations where all the team roles really shift when one person, maybe it's the boss, maybe it's just a teammate, goes away, and having some sense of that, of like, oh, okay, while Min's away, that means that the person who's in charge of this is now this other person, or maybe you actually have a surrogate boss during that period. That can happen too. So that awareness pre, during and post, I definitely think is the answer, plus being prepared for them. All right.
Well, thank you, everyone, for listening to today's This Is Not Advice with Roy and me from Bloomberg Beta. We'll be here every week sharing what we learn about the future of work, so you can thrive at work too. Share your questions with us on Twitter, and we'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah, you may be seeing it somewhere else now, but we still, send us questions wherever you can find us. We prefer Twitter because it's easier to have a conversation there. Sorry, LinkedIn.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye.